Hey guys, this is Team Wagy, and today I'm going to be showing you how to spool your bait casting reel. I'm going to start out with the basics. I don't know how far or advanced some of you guys are, so I'm going to teach this as if I was teaching a beginner. So step one is going to be just putting the reel on a rod, and I'll show you later why this is important. So now that you have your bait caster securely connected to your rod, what you're going to need to do is take the line, and you can either go through every single guide, or you can just go through this first guide here for now. Just know if you go through this first guide, you're going to have to route it through the rest of the guides when you're done. But it is very important to get the line through at least the first guide here, because it helps later on when we're spooling the reel. Now that we have our line through at least the first guide, what you're going to want to do is just tie a regular knot right at the end of the line and clip it off, I'd say maybe 2 millimeters out in front of the knot. Okay guys, so this is about what your knot should look like. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's just a knot, and then it's just cut off pretty much right at the end. You want to leave enough so the knot doesn't come undone, but this knot is going to serve us several purposes. And now the next step is you're going to want to obviously put your line through the guide here on your reel, your line guide. Now that you've done that, this knot, the first way it's going to help us is if your reel is a Shimano or has holes in it. Most spools do have holes. Some of the older reels don't. What you're going to want to do is stick the line through the hole of the spool. And all we're doing here is that knot is going to hold that line in the spool, and this is going to help us get the line all the way around the spool. So you just slowly turn, and as you can see, it's still in that hole. So now you can just grab the line and go on to the next step. Now for this next step, we're going to be tying an arbor knot. And pretty much what an arbor knot is, you take this line that has the knot on the end, and you're going to tie pretty much another regular knot just like you did, except you want this line that's coming around the spool in the center of that line. So you pretty much just tie it with that line in the center. So I'll show you here. You see I made a loop and it's in the center. And then you're going to finish the knot. And then hold that end with your previous knot and tighten. And as you can see, the line can move in that knot. So now for the next step, you're going to cinch it down. So all you do is pull it, and without that knot, the line would just simply slide out and the knot wouldn't work. But that knot prevents it from coming out of the other knot. So now you have your knot secured and you're ready to spool. To spool a bait casting reel, it is critical that you have the spool oriented where the line is coming off the top of the spool. And it doesn't matter whether you have a pencil through it and you're holding it between your legs, if you have a pencil holding it and you have a buddy holding it for you, or my preferred way of spooling if I'm alone is just go, if you have a boat, and put this spool right behind the top cap, and that holds it from slipping over, and you can spool it really fast that way. So now I'm going to spool it up and show you just about how far you want to spool it. As you can see, I have finished spooling this reel, and it's kind of a fine line between too little spooled and too much, because if you have too much, that line is going to end up hitting your reel seat that you attach to the rod, and every time you try to cast, it's going to bind up on you. And you want to spool typically as much as possible so you can get the most long cast out of your reel. So this is pretty good. It wasn't totally even, so this edge is probably slightly down, or just right where it should be, and the other side is just a little bit above that. So with time, that's going to even out as I fish with it. But that is the reel that is fully spooled. Now this works on fluorocarbon, monofilament, braid. I've done it all. It's a tried and true method, and I know some people will just stick their line through the spool and not even attach it to the spool and start spooling it, and that's just it's not the proper way. There's a lot of ways to spool it. I'm just showing you the way I do it and the way my dad taught me, and I've never had any issues with the line coming off the spool or anything weird like that. So this is a really good method to use. Now that we're done, all you have to do is clip your line, run it through the rest of the guides if you only ran it through the first one, tie up your lure, and get to fishing.